Thank you. I never intended to make art, really. I took a welding class because I wanted to learn how to weld. And out of that came out this piece, which was Endure. It dealt with the death of my little brother in a tragic sudden accident when he was 25. And that then led on to me exploring all sorts of different media and techniques. Um, Led to this piece, which was, it's a replica of the green dress that Jennifer Lopez wore to the Grammys in 2001, and it's made out of broken glass from the streets of the Bronx, where she grew up. The piece is the apparition of fame, and it was a commentary on us becoming puppets to fame. I like the idea of using materials that have a history to them, that have been harvested. Some of them are just pretty materials. This is glass pearls, and it's a torso made out of glass pearls. But I like creating new, grabbing the material, whatever it is. Maybe I found it at the Adventure Playground and then making something else with it. Some of the pieces have deeply religious, political meanings, like in this case, it's a sword made out of 50 caliber bullet casings, the same caliber bullets that the US Army uses in their wars around the world. But in this case, it's the sword that God placed in front of the tree of life to prevent us from becoming immortal. And that is a side view of it. So some of the pieces, as I was mentioning, are beautiful and simple, and other pieces are very complicated and multi-layers and have all these succession of meanings built into them. 20 seconds is us. This is from a body of work that I put together a few years ago. It was Paradise according to Milton, and yes, it was a ton of words. And I used quotes from the Bible, and in this case, it was the forbidden fruit, so I made an apple. A cored apple, because my feeling is that if you're going to be kicked out of paradise, you might as well take a bite of the apple before you go, a few bites. This is a detail from the bullets piece. That exhibition, there was a series of pieces, and two of them were the, I'm not going to talk about this because they're not here. This is a piece I did a few years ago. It was, it's an abstraction of the urinal by Marcel Duchamp. It was exhibited at the Armory in New York City, where Marcel Duchamp showed that piece, but in this case, it was made out of, again, bullets. And the interesting part about it was that this was at the Armory, at Paul's Art Fair, and this was taking place on the main floor of the Armory, but downstairs, the building was stockpiled with weapons. And so the National Guard guys would come up, and they're like, you know, we have all those in the basement. Which I thought it was really interesting that here we are frolicking around buying art with ammunition in the full basement of the building. What I was trying to do was to bring back, one, this historic moment in the history of American art in the Armory building, but also bring it into the contemporary context of war and also art and the intermingling of those. This is a piece I did for a show in New Orleans a few years ago, and it's a map of, it's called Found Alive, and it's pins and crystals. I forget that you can't see what I can see. Pins and crystals, and because there's a sort of crystals, they glint and glow, but it's a map of where people were found alive in New Orleans after Katrina. This is an installation I did at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and it was a play on suspension of disbelief. So I invited friends of mine to come to the studio to pose for me. We made these casts out of them, and then we suspended them 25 feet above this main space so that they floated as if they were swimming. The idea that it was this whole clan of people floating and swimming on this imaginary surface of the water. The exhibition was supposed to be there for a month, and they ended up keeping it for 6 months because people liked it a lot. Except for they had a wedding, and then the folks that were getting married there were like, well, we don't necessarily want bodies floating above. But as I was mentioning, it's about the suspension of disbelief. Particularly, this is a theater performance space. And it was really, really fun to have friends come and pose for all these pieces. There was something eerie about them as well, and I liked that very much, particularly, as I was saying, within the context of a theater. This is from a body of work that I put together a few years ago called The 7 Deadly Sins. And I did a piece for each one of the sins, of course. And then in this case, it was gluttony. And it's the negative space in between two ice cream cones, but it's made out of sugar cubes. Pride was broken mirrors, and it had been broken and fragmented, and the back of it was painted as an American flag, and it was this concept of American pride, and this is when we were invading Iraq. I like to include in the shows at least one piece that is funny. It's the Joker of the show, and in this case, that was envy. It was green with penis envy. Which was 24-inch piece. And so I had this really funny moment because this lady came up and she started talking about how much she loved the fish. Oh my God, the fish is fabulous. And I'm thinking, what is she talking about? What fish? And then her friend comes over and says, Mary, that's not a fish, that's a penis. I guess it's been a while, she said. But I because the exhibition was really heavy and intense, and so I wanted to at least include something in it that would break the ice and make people laugh, and that's part, folks, of the madness inside my head. Thanks for listening.